In this video, we're going to discuss me taking Unifiram, me having taken Unifiram 30 minutes ago and how I'm feeling right now in this video, and some more stuff coming up. Sorry for the 3 days without posting videos. I think the last video we posted was like 2 or 3 days ago. I was in the Jersey Shore for a business meeting, but what was really awesome about that and aligns with the video that it was a podcast that we recently did, which we then made a video, put it on YouTube, was nootropic strategies for traveling, and where you've got like sublingual uridine monophosphate, you have a adrafinil, you maybe have some phenylpiracetam and alpha GPC pre-capped or take them sublingually. This time I brought some oxiracetam capsules, pre-made oxiracetam capsules. I think I got them from Nootropics Courses. One of these guys. They've got pre-made oxiracetam capsules. Not that much more expensive. It's utility, guys, utility. And so I had I had a business meeting with 3 people in Atlantic City, New Jersey. You know, venture capitalists. So they're talking numbers and all this sort of stuff. And I was just like, I had taken like a gram of oxiracetam, 500 milligrams choline bitartrate, 5 milligrams of Noopept before the meeting. So I'm rolling in the meeting. I'm just like, focus. I'm trying to bring them back on focus. Like I'm sitting here with the nootropic brain and these guys are losing focus. Very interesting experience, but that's why I haven't done a video in 3 days. Anyway, basis of the video, Unifiram. Now look, I saw some Sunifiram in recently and I took it. I remembered my experiences taking Sunifiram back in the day. Very interesting compound, cholinergic compounds. It's postulated they have some work on AMPA receptors, kind of like other ampakines like aniracetam, and thus are able to prevent or reverse amnesic conditions, particularly induced by a particular chemical called scopolamine, which goes in there and fusses with memory of rats' brains. And then Sunifiram, aniracetam, Unifiram, a lot of these compounds they call neuroprotective go in and reverse that, probably through either AMPA or cholinergic signaling. Unifiram is a cousin of Sunifiram. I mean, they're 2 structurally similar compounds. They're in basically the same dose range, a pretty similar dose range. And essentially the gist of Unifiram is that, Unifiram is a cholinergic compound that in effects is predominantly, I mean, at least for me and I think a lot of other folks, is much more brain clearing, overall functionality improving, like just gunk removed from the brain. It just puts you in a place where you can free-flowingly function, but far less stimulatory than anything else. Okay, so I took 5 milligrams sublingual Unifiram 30 minutes ago, and I'm already in. I already noticed what it's doing to me, and everything's clear. Verbal fluency is on point, perfectly on point. But I'm not stimulated, right? I don't feel stimulated. Like, look, if I wanted to be stimulated at that capacity, I'd take aniracetam, or I would take oxiracetam, another stimulatory racetam, or I'd drink some freaking espresso shots. I don't want to have excessive stimulation right now. I just don't want that type of brain function. I want to function well. And by functioning well and having the brain clear, yeah, I am stimulated, but it's almost like modafinil in that you don't really feel a hardcore stimulant-like feeling. You're just functional, and those are my favorite nootropics of these days, frankly. And Unifiram is delivering exactly that. Okay, so before I talk about my dose and my experience in the onset, we normally talk about our products in the beginning, and I didn't get a chance to because we're talking about all this other stuff. But important thing, because the 15th of September is coming up soon, and that marks a time where a special ends, where you can get any of our products for $6.99 off of anything by using the coupon code 18, okay? That's the Cortex Nootropic Stack. That's our powerful pre-made stack that combines uridine monophosphate, CDP choline, artichoke extract, bacopa monterey for a very synergistic nootropic experience. Very powerful. That is the verbal fluency emperor Cortex. And then we've got Smarter, Better, Faster. That's a nootropics guide, teaches you how to use nootropics. It's for if you're brand new to nootropics or if you're 5 years in, you can still get benefit from it. Digital guide teaches you stacks, how to use them, choline sources, racetams, everything. And then we've got another guide, digital guide, called the Racetam God Guide. And the Racetam God Guide is a list of the 8 major nootropic racetams, breaking them down, how to take them, what the dose is, and what to stack them with. And there's 80 plus pro racetam nootropic stacks. You'll never believe how effective each one of the stacks are. You take one of the stacks, it's like boom, you've turned every facet of brain function on. They're targeted toward helping facilitate very specific brain states. It's taken me 10 years, guys, to figure this stuff out. It's pretty valuable. Get it at livecortex.com. Those are both digital guides. And then lastly, we do stack consulting. I'll sit on a call with you for 40 minutes, either that or a video chat and 15 additional email correspondences in kind of a continuity of communication to help you to refine a stack, make your stack better, other questions answered relating to nootropics, whatever I can do to help you with nootropics. Get all that stuff at livecortex.com. Okay, so check it out. I explained what's going on here. 30 minutes ago, I dosed 5 milligrams sublingual Unifiram. Okay, I just got it in the mail. I was away and I just came back and it was here. I was like, yeah, Christmas gifts, goodies. Unifiram, let me just try to break it down by the mechanism. Unifiram is a cholinergic compound postulated to work on AMPA receptors, but the main difference between it, sonifiram, and other racetams, because these are similar to racetams, they were actually made as derivatives of piracetam, is that they don't just increase acetylcholine release in one region of the brain, like the hippocampus, which is what oxiracetam and aniracetam do in part, but they increase acetylcholine release in the cerebral cortex. Okay, so that's your occipital lobe. That's all the main processing lobes of your brain, to include the frontal lobe, to include the prefrontal cortex, which is where all your planning and stuff happens. Okay, so there's major increases in the functionality of the frontal lobes, at least in postulation and certainly in my anecdotal experience right now as a result of taking Unifiram. For me, interestingly, it's actually a little more potent than sonifiram. Folks seem to say it's the opposite. I'm not responding negatively to it or less than I was sonifiram. This is a more intense version of sonifiram for me. This is very, very powerful. Yeah, I mean, look, I took it 5 milligrams sublingual at onset, 20-30 minutes later. When I take cholinergics these days, I take a B complex with it. So I took a run-of-the-mill B complex. It's called Jarrow B Right. It's actually pretty good B complex. And yeah, I mean, now it's about 36, 37 minutes later. I'm so on fire, so on point, verbal fluency, so on point, working memory. I haven't really tested it. Yeah, I mean, it feels like it could be optimized. That's hard to tell granularly. I mean, I'd have to sit down and do it. But I mean, I've got a lot of good solid brain energy, right? A lot of good functionality, a lot of good fluid, clear thinking. And the most significant part of it, which I don't remember if I really got this from sonifiram. Yeah, I did, because if you guys remember me talking about sonifiram, we talked about how it basically got me to want to hit my to-do list a lot better, kind of like oxiracetam lasers you in on focus. My God, I want to press stop on this video because I'm so pumped to go do work I got to do, administrative work, laptop work. We got some Cortex to ship later. I just got stuff, and I'm so dialed in right now. My brain is so ready to do it, and it's working so fluidly. And you know how, like in the average course of a day, your brain there's different modes. You might be wanting to calm down. You might be wanting to go do something. You might be wanting to exercise. You might be wanting to be sad. You might be wanting to be. I'm in one mode right now, right? I think being able to toggle between those modes is one of the great things meditation does. You can toggle. You go, okay, now I'm going to focus. Okay, now I'm going to relax. Okay, now I'm going to do math, whatever. I'm going to read some stuff. Or now I'm going to get creative. That's meditation, right? Unifiram has put me in a place where I'm basically in one gear, and that is the go gear. Okay, so that's my review of the Unifiram I just got in from Nootropics Courses. No affiliation, but I gotta mention where I got it from. I got a small, like 500 milligrams or something. You take it in 5 to 15 milligrams orally, or 5 to 10 milligrams sublingually. That would be my suggestion. And frankly, I mean, if you're one of those folks that I always think in these days, cholinergic compounds, you should probably take a B vitamin with it anyway, because it helps the synthesis of the chemicals that the nootropic is going to work on. Your choice, go for it, see what happens. But let me just tell you this. The major thing to take away from this compound is that it does not increase acetylcholine release in one particular region. It is in the entire cerebral cortex. This is your main processing cortex, where all this information gets processed. That's why I'm on fire right now. Totally on fire. Unifiram, get it. Don't think I'm effing around here. Pretty good stuff. Very powerful compound. That has been my experience. Thank you so much for watching. What's up, everybody? I'm in my home office now working. It's been about 4 hours or so after I took that first Unifiram dose. And it definitely wore off a long time ago. I'm now in a place where I'm basically at baseline. My baseline is a good verbally fluent baseline, with good solid functioning energy, mental energy, working memory, these sorts of things. My brain works quickly either way. Partially I attribute that to taking nootropics over a long period of time, and partially it's because of I do everything to try to make my brain work better. Again, I mentioned this in a recent podcast. It's not just nootropics. It's like cleansing. It's like the rabbit hole goes very, very deep. Like enema bags, water enemas after drinking 3 drinks of alcohol, right? Just to get the toxins out of my body very, very quickly. I don't want nothing sitting in my large intestine. Anyway, so it basically the initially noticeable elements of the Unifiram, which were massive mental clarity, lots of speed of processing improvements, lots of verbal fluency, kind of just wore off after an hour and a half or so, and that's on par with how Sonifiram affects me, and how Sonifiram affects a lot of other people, and how people report Unifiram affects them. It's a relatively short-lived effect. So it's a good strategy to use if you're going to go and sit down and do an hour or 2 of work or something. I mean, think about it. That's really the time frame in which a lot of folks, generally speaking, sit down and do work, right? It might not be working for 4 or 5 hours. That might be a strategy for modafinil. That might be a strategy for Cortex. Cortex is like that. We actually designed it for that. That might be a strategy for microdosing aniracetam, right? Or even, I don't know, 1/4 dosing or half dosing oxiracetam 3 or 4 times over the course of like 6 hours or something, but not necessarily Unifiram. Okay, so we're 4 hours in. I think the effects are largely dissipated. The verbal fluency and the speed of processing and the mental clarity lasted for about an hour and a half in its peak, and then it started to quickly descend thereafter. Probably after it was somewhere around hour 3, it was indistinguishable from my normal baseline state. And now we're somewhere around hour 4, and I've got a lot of work done. Like I did a lot of writing, particularly I did some reading, and my working memory did turn out to be better than normal. I could sort of notice it when I was reading stuff. It's kind of like new pep, but just not as significant. And that's where I'm at. It's been an interesting experience. Unifiram is look, everything we talk about is about applicability. When is the situation where you should apply that nootropic? What can you expect? What dose can you take it in? On and on and on. Thanks so much for being with me. Thanks for watching. Talk to you next time. What's up, everybody? Ryan here. Thanks for watching the video. Really appreciate you being with me. But listen, if you're serious about taking your nootropics game to another level, to the pro level, if you're serious about learning more about nootropics and fully understanding how to surgically use nootropics, that Smarter, Better, Faster guide that you see on the screen, that's the guide for you. It's a very powerful digital guide that you can download for any device you have that'll teach you about nootropics, give you a bunch of powerful stacks. That's for new people, and it's for people that have been in the game for 5 years or more. And then if you're interested in learning strictly about racetams, or if you just want 80 plus pro racetam stacks, we lay that out. We break down each racetam, and we give you the sublingual and the oral stacks. These are combinations of racetams and a bunch of other compounds that give you very particularly powerful brain states. Get it at the Racetam God Guide. That's a digital guide that you can download and start getting access to the information right away. And if you are looking for a nootropic stack that delivers everything, I mean, look, Cortex, our stack, that's our pre-made nootropic stack. We sell it in 12 countries. Wall Street folks, business people, corporate people, nootropic experimenters, everybody else in between, speech givers, I mean, folks that give speeches for a living, get the stack, use the stack, religiously use the stack. If you're looking for an all-out balanced stack, a stack that an entrepreneur, after 6.5 years of being an entrepreneur and having a lot of demand on his brain created, that's me. That's my stack. Get it at livecortex.com. It's being called the only pre-made stack that works. Very powerful frontal lobe, mental energy, speed of processing, motivation, nootropic stack, basically for productivity. Okay, get all that stuff at livecortex.com. Thanks for being with us. We'll talk to you next time.